Okay, so we said we're going to discuss the present and real condition. Okay, as an example, we have here, what would you do if you had $1 million? If I had a lot of money, I'll travel all over the world. So yes, we're talking about unreal conditional in the present. Why is it unreal? Because maybe we are wishing for something, or we are speaking about something that is not going to happen soon. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. As I was saying, we talk about something that is not happening, that is not that we are wishing for. Okay. So let's see. Let's go over the first rule. Are you ready? Lucy, are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
We use the present unreal conditional to talk about present conditions and results that are not real. The if clause expresses the unreal condition. The result clause expresses the unreal result. If Nick had the evidence, he would be very happy. This means that Nick doesn't have the evidence, and as a result, he isn't very happy.
If Talia didn't work so hard, she would have more time for fun.
This means that Talia works hard, and as a result, she doesn't have time for fun.
Okay. So we use the present and real conditional to talk about present conditions and results that are not real. The if clause expresses the unreal conditional. The result clause expresses the unreal result. Okay, this is the unreal condition, unreal result.
Okay.
Questions here? Hello?
Okay, no, I'm listening.
Okay. Number 2.
The verb in the if clause is in the simple past, but its meaning is present. If I had his phone number now, I'd call him. The verb in the result clause is would plus the base form of the verb. If I had his phone number now, I'd call him. Notice that in conversation, we often use the contraction d for would and wouldn't for would not. We don't use would in the if clause.
Okay, this is a lot of information. In the if clause, we use the simple past. If I had, okay? Even though you're talking about the past, the meaning is in the present. Okay?
Okay.
And in the result clause, we're going to use would plus the base form. Example, I would call. Okay? Another example, the same example, if I had his phone number now, I would call him. Okay? So we can use a contraction for the result clause. But we don't use contractions in the if clause. In the if clause, we don't use a contraction and we do not use would. Example, I would have his phone number. No, that's not correct, okay?
Okay.
3.
In addition to would, we can also use the modals could, should, or might in the result clause. If I told your coach, the soccer federation might let you play again.
If we had the proof, I could play again.
Okay, so in this rule, we concentrate also in the result clause. The if, simple past. Simple past. But now in the result, instead of would, I can use might. In the end, it's a modal. Might, could. Okay, and don't forget you need to separate your clauses with a comma.
When the verb in the if clause is a form of be, we use were for all subjects. If Tony and John were here, they would help us. If Amy were here, she would help us.
Yes, this is one of those cases where
I can't hear it. Hello?
Can you hear me, Lucy?
Yes, I can hear
Okay, I lost you for a second. I didn't notice. I was just talking.
you.
Okay. Where we left? Number 3, right?
Yes.
Okay. So do you have any questions here?
No.
No? Okay. Let's go for number 4. Now, number 4, do you have any questions here? We're using where, even if we're talking about singular. I know it's confusing. It's against all rules that we have discussed, but that's the way it is. It takes a little bit of time to get used to it. Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
We often use if I were you to give advice.
If I were you, I wouldn't blame myself.
Okay, again, with first person pronoun, okay?
The if clause can come at the beginning or the end of the sentence. The meaning is the same. Notice that in writing, we use a comma after the if clause when it comes first.
If he believed you, it wouldn't matter.
Or,
It wouldn't matter if he believed you.
Okay. And yes, we can play with our statement. We can start with the if clause, or we can finish with the if clause. Remember, the if becomes a connector, so we don't need a comma. Let's do some examples. So read the first sentence, complete the second sentence so that it expresses the meaning of the first sentence. Choose the correct answer. Okay. So number 1.
If Martha had a video camera, she would film the part. Martha doesn't have a video camera. Jason doesn't have time. I think you should tell the truth. The health club isn't close to Dina's office.
Okay. 5.
Chen Lu isn't a teacher. Tyler can't afford Valentine.
You ready?
Yes.
Okay. No problems. And here we were just identifying what we're saying. What is it that we are understanding with the embryo condition? Okay. Let's go to the next exercise. Okay, so complete each dialogue. Type the correct form of the verbs in parentheses into the blanks. Use the present and real conditional. For example, Dim is going to be so angry at me. If I were you, I would stay away from him. Okay,
Okay.
that will be the first example. Now, let's try number 2.
If I had it,
You have can in this case.
I would consent.
I would can. Be careful. We have tomatoes in. So I could send
Okay.
her a post. Okay.
If I told him, he wouldn't believe me.
He wouldn't believe me. Okay.
If she were good. She was good. She will get more parts. If I weren't have,
You have the if clause. If I weren't had doesn't have to be where.
if I didn't have,
Okay.
I will join.
It's backwards. Now we have the result clause as before.
I will take a vacation. If I had,
The time.
yes.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. So what's wrong here?
Where?
The verb in the if clause is in the simple past. Okay. Yes. But we use the incorrect form. We have to use where. For all subjects, remember? That means singular and plural when we talk about the verb be, okay?
Okay. Where is for singular or plural?
Yes. Can you see my screen?
No. Now, yes.
Right here.
When the verb in the if clause is a form of be, we use were for all subjects. If Tony and John were here, they would help us. If Amy were here, she would help us.
Okay. Any questions?
No.
All right. Yes. When I was younger and I would getting exposed to this information, for me, it was weird. Okay, so we had all these grammar rules and all of a sudden we don't respect them. So why? And that's the way Oxford and the official university in charge of English language, that's how it's declared. So there's nothing you can do. That's the correct way. That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
So I need to write a letter to Oxford complaining. Okay. Past perfect continuous. Okay. We know the past perfect in the continuous form. Example, had been thinking, had been working. Why do we use the past perfect continuous? Let's talk about this. Are you ready?
We use the past perfect continuous to talk about something that was in progress before a specific time in the past. The past perfect continuous focuses on the continuation of an action, not the end result.
Talia arrived at 10 o'clock. I'd been waiting for 3 hours to hear the recording.
This means that Tony began waiting at 7, 3 hours before Talia arrived. Remember, we usually don't use continuous forms with non-action verbs.
Okay. So Talia arrived at 10, right here. And I had been waiting for 3 hours. So that means that I was waiting since 7. And then 3 hours later, she arrived. But everything in the past.
Okay.
Okay.
We form the past perfect continuous with had been, plus the base form of the verb, plus ing.
I just found out that Dean had been lying the whole time.
Remember, in conversation, we often use contractions with pronouns. We also use the contraction hadn't for had not.
He hadn't been practicing with the team.
Okay. Any questions here?
No.
No? All right. Remember, this is always in the past. And we use the present, the past participle of the verb be. And don't forget the continuous form of the base form of the verb.
We often use by to introduce the specific time in the past.
By 10 o'clock, I'd been waiting for 3 hours.
Okay.
We also use the past perfect continuous to show a relationship with another past action. The earlier action is in the past perfect continuous. The later action is in the simple past.
I just found out that Dean had been lying the whole time.
In this example, first Dean lied to Jackie. Then, later, Jackie found out about it.
It was late. When Talia finally arrived, Tony and I had been waiting for 3 hours.
In this example, first, Tony and Amy started waiting. Then, Talia arrived.
Okay. So this section seems a little bit confusing, but it's not. The earlier action is in the past perfect continuous. Earlier, what happened first? Then the later action is in the simple past. So you know that Dean had been lying. That's early. And then I just found out. That's the information given. Only in text, we have it a structure that we first found out, and then we express that didn't have any line. The second example is almost the same. It was late when Talia finally arrived. Tony and I had been waiting for 3 hours.
Okay.
Okay, let's do some examples. Past perfect continuous. Complete each dialogue, choose the correct answer.
When did you become a reporter? In
2000,
I have been working.
had,
Okay. Have you been expecting a promotion? Before I had moved in. Before I moved in.
moved or move.
Move. I have been unpacking. Isn't he he wasn't being played.
Wasn't.
Yes. By 3.
Okay, good. You ready?
Yes.
Okay, so what happened? Here. What is the correct form?
Move.
Simple past, right? What about here? It's not wasn't, it's had.
Okay.
Let's try another example. Now this part is tricky because we need to be able to identify simple past or the continuous form, okay? The past perfect continuous form. So we have this paragraph. Please help me read so that we can understand it, okay? Are you ready?
Sally Cohen started her journalism career a lot earlier than most reporters. Cohen was born in Washington in
DC.
1975, but grew up in Raleigh, North Carolina. Before the Cohen family moved, both her parents had been working and her mother worked for a national newspaper. In middle school in 1985, Cohen decided
To publish a
She
newsletter.
have been watching her father, who poured the evening news for years. Has been throwing or its waste into our fever for years when I reported.
Okay, reported it. Can you pronounce it? Reported it.
Reported it.
Okay, good. Okay,
By the time she began, she is in the left. Has been covered.
covering.
Covering. Okay.
Are you ready?
Yes.
All right. It seems like it's very difficult, but it's not.
Okay.
Let's go over another grammar section. Okay, should have. Examples: should have gotten up earlier, shouldn't have walked, shouldn't have driven. And let's see, we have a motto, and then we have gotten up. This is the present perfect. Shouldn't have walked. The same, present perfect. Should have driven. We have a motto and the present perfect. So let's talk about this. Are you ready?
Yes.
We use should have plus the past participle to give advice about something that happened in the past. You should have worn a different outfit. Jeans were too informal.
Okay. So what Pearson is telling us, never mind the present perfect. Just focus on should have. Do not get confused. What you have next is the past participle. Number 2.
We often use should have and should not have to express regrets.
I should have known better. I should not have trusted Dean.
We can also use should have and should not have to express blame.
It's your fault. You should have kept your promises.
Okay. Any questions?
No.
Remember, in the first rule, we use should have plus the past participle to give advice about something that happened in the past. Okay. And we often use should have and shouldn't have to express regrets. Three.
In conversation, we often shorten should and have to should have, and should not and have to shouldn't have. Don't use these contractions in writing.
I should have known better. I shouldn't have trusted him.
Okay. Now, it's tricky. We have all of these contractions here. It's all about pronunciation, and we will discuss that in a little bit. But first, let's focus in the grammar. We often shorten should and have to should have, and should not to shouldn't have. Don't use these contractions in writing. Again, we're talking about regrets.
That I don't have to use in Friday.
I'm sorry, which one?
Shouldn't have in abbreviation. Or what I don't have to use in Friday.
No, don't use this. Okay, yes. What the rule is telling you is, oh, let me ask you, have you ever seen this in writing?
No.
Okay, that's what we are only pronouncing. When we pronounce, we can do contractions, but you don't write them. Because
But should have. I see that, the first one.
okay, this one.
Yes.
Yes, don't do a contraction in writing. Just leave it all the expressed should have in writing. But when you talk about it, when you pronounce it, you can do a contraction.
Okay.
You can shorten by doing contractions when you speak, but in writing, be careful. Even in some examples from the TOEFL exam, they will speak in contractions, but when you see the text, you're gonna see the whole words, not contractions, okay?
Okay.
We also use should have to ask questions and give short answers. Should Jackie have confessed?
Yes, she should have.
No, she shouldn't have.
Okay.
Okay.
We can also use this to ask questions and give short answers. Should Jackie have confessed? Yes, she should have. Now, here in the question, we have a rule. Should have plus the past participle. But in the answer, we only use should have just to make a confirmation. You don't have to say, yes, she should have confessed. No, you don't have to write the whole information because you know what you're talking about.
Okay.
Or you can do a negative answer, no problem. Let's do some work. So should have number one, complete the sentences, choose the correct answer. Number one.
Were
Were or weren't?
that is correct. Mm.
Is okay. Is that the past participle?
Were have he shouldn't have studied.
This one?
Yes. No, she should have studied. We should go. I shouldn't have bought. Bought. Who should have I?
Who should have I asked about the problem?
Yes. Should have? Oh, yes, you should. Yes, you should.
Mhm.
Been.
You ready?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Who should have I asked? Okay, so this is merely context and a little bit of grammar. So who should I have? This would be the correct one, okay?
Okay.
Because it's in the question form. When you are in a statement form, yes, you keep the rule the way it is. Should have and then past participle. In this case, it's a question, so it's backwards.
Okay.
Should I have called before I came? Yes. Well, yes, you should have. Remember? The only word that you don't repeat is your past participle. But you keep should have. Jean should have
Been.
which yes. Okay. Past participle. Okay. Okay. So complete the sentences, choose a word from the answer pool, type the correct form of the word into the blank.
I asked her.
Okay. I really like Talia.
I had asked her.
Okay.
Maybe I will give.
Don't forget what you learned.
I will have given. Okay.
Okay. Should have,
Shouldn't.
shouldn't, shouldn't have
Given.
given. Okay. What about 3?
I should have known. I should have been.
Okay.
I shouldn't have gone.
Oh,
This shouldn't
gone,
have,
right? Guess it's go.
this shouldn't have happened to him.
Okay.
I should have known.
Okay. You ready?
Yes. I should have gone.
Yes. Remember, we use it for regrets also, but it doesn't have to be in the negative form, okay? Now let's go over the pronunciation section. And should, could, and would have. Are you ready?
Yes.
When we use the auxiliary have after a modal, we pronounce the two words together. The word have loses its sound and is linked to the modal before it. Should have. When we use these phrases in the negative, we reduce both not and have. Shouldn't have. Listen to these lines based on the dialogue. Notice the reduced phrases shown in blue and purple.
Okay, this is something that we discussed. But now we're going to practice pronunciation. Are you ready?
Yes.
Do you think I should have worn a different outfit?
Should,
Do you think I should have worn a different outfit?
should have, should have.
I should have known better.
Should have,
If I had been more careful, we would have had the evidence.
would have,
It couldn't have been a class.
okay.
It couldn't have been a class.
Couldn't have, couldn't have. Repeat, couldn't have. Lucia,
Yes.
couldn't have,
Okay.
I shouldn't have trusted him.
shouldn't have,
If I had known, I wouldn't have gone along with him.
wouldn't have. Any questions?
No.
Okay. Now let's go over the next grammar pronunciation. Just a second. Linking words together.
In conversation, we sometimes link two consonant sounds together to make a new sound. When one word ends in the sound d or t, and the next word begins with the sound y, we often blend the d or t with the y to make the sound j, as in did ya, or ch, as in don't ya. Notice that the second word is often you or your and is usually unstressed. Listen to these lines based on the dialogue. Notice the linking of the words in blue.
Okay, before we start the pronunciation, remember, most of these pronunciation starts when we use these combinations. Did you and didn't you?
Okay.
Most of the times, right? So let's see.
Why did you decide to tell the truth now? Why did you decide to tell the truth now?
Where would you like to do the interview? Where would you like to do the interview?
What if I called your coach?
Okay, so this one is a little bit different because we're not using did, we're not using the modal, we're using the past. And we're not using you, we're using your.
What if I called your coach?
Called your, called your.
Didn't you get my message?
Dinja, dinja.
Didn't you get my message?
Kick shoes. Cute name, don't you think? Kick shoes. Cute name, don't you think? I got your phone number from Amy.
Okay, so after looking at this, we got three variations. Ja, sha, yer. Did you notice that?
I got
Yes.
your phone number from Amy.
Gotcha.
Kick shoes. Cute name, don't you think?
Doncha.
Didn't you get my message?
Dincha.
What if I called your coach?
Culture.
Where would you like to do the interview?
Ja. Oh, that would make it four. Cher and ja.
Why did you decide to tell the truth now?
Didja. Didja. Didje. Didja. And
I got your phone number from Amy.
jer.
Okay.
Okay. Well, it's easier if we practice them and we get familiar about the combinations.
Okay.
You will have these for practice, okay?
Okay.
So you can do it on your own. And sorry about the internet interruptions, but we completed our goal.
Don't worry. No, don't worry.
So would you please help me with the daily survey? And have you had access to Pearson?
Yes. Yes. I'm going to do the homework, the task these days.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it. Have a
Okay.
good day.
Thank you. You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.